The first thing you want to do is loosen your lug nuts. This prevents the wheel from spinning once you actually get it up off the ground. So let's do that first. Now you don't want to take them completely off, just enough so that they're easier to take off when the car is jacked up. Now let's jack up the vehicle. Okay, now we need to put jack stands down. Never trust a jack alone when you're working on your vehicle. A lot of people have had them fail, and you don't really want your head to be splattered on the pavement. So take the extra effort and do it safely. In this particular application, I want to be able to move the rear suspension while the car is up in the air. To do that, I need to put the jack stands on these folds where the welds are. Make sure you refer to your particular vehicle's manual, and they'll tell you how to do this safely. But if you are feeling uncomfortable doing this, you should definitely have someone there with you, maybe more experienced, because this can be extremely dangerous. Now I'm going to lower the jack until the vehicle is stable on the jack stands. You want to do this extremely slowly, and make sure you don't get anywhere underneath the vehicle. I also like to leave the jack there as a little extra support, but at this point you want to be able to shake your car pretty hard without it moving whatsoever. That's very sturdy. Now I'm going to take the wheel off. This is a Mazda 3S, and my lug nuts are 21 millimeter. I got this drill for 20 bucks. It makes it a lot easier after you've already loosened the lug nuts. Now let's take the wheel off and put it somewhere safe. Now I would like to take the shocks off. Up here, there are going to be 2 bolts. Actually, there are going to be 2 nuts holding the shock onto the studs, and that is the shock mount, which is what we're replacing today. Down on the bottom, there's a bolt that goes through a support and gets screwed into a weld nut. What that is a nut that you're not supposed to take off because it's welded on. So don't be confused and try to take that off. So let's do it. Now for the top two nuts, I'm going to use, actually I'll show you. I'm going to use a ratchet with an extension and then a deep 12mm socket. This makes it a little easier to get to. And you just want to loosen them. And now I'm going to go to the 17mm, which is back behind here. I'll see if I can try to get a shot for you, but it's close quarters and I don't have a macro lens. I know you can't see this that well. I apologize, but I'll try to point out where it is. It's right here. You'll see, because this shock absorber, the cylinder, has a bolt going through the bottom of it. So it's pretty obvious if you know what you're looking for. Gotta get on it the correct way. All right. It's coming now. Now I switch back to my ratcheting wrench and get it off the rest of the way. Ooh, that's a little squeaky. All right, let's skip through this. It's boring. This next part's a little tricky, but not too bad. Let me show you how it's done. So once the shock is off the vehicle, you have a shock mount here. And you need to take this mount off of the shock. And you can't really use a socket, which is unfortunate. But what you do, get a 13mm close-ended wrench, or crescent like I have, and then put a pair of vice grips on the end and keep one stationary while the other's rotating, or do both at the same time. Like this. And that's all there is to it. Do that until it comes off. So now let's take this puppy off. This might be awkward for a second, sorry, but I don't have a vise with me. And you want to inspect the shock, make sure that no oil's coming out around this area. And this looks perfectly good because I just replaced it not too long ago. So, okay. You want to reuse some of these parts unless you have new ones. Take this guy off. Yeah, it's kind of didn't looking too good. So get rid of that thing. Now I want to reuse this. This protects your shock against dust, debris, dirt, stuff like that. And this guy actually prevents metal to metal contact. This is important as well. Let's take the new one. That looks a little better. It also comes with new nuts, which is good. Never a bad thing to have some new nuts. Put this guy back on. Squeeze it into place. Okay, now, easy. Wherever I put that nut, you see these shocks come with nylock nuts, which have a little piece of nylon here that compresses to keep this from getting loose. Nice little touch. So let's put it on. Put it on as much as you can until this shaft starts spinning. And it's starting to spin. So you know how to do it. Just like before. And let's tighten her up. And this doesn't need to be insanely tight, just snug. Here we go with it on the vehicle again. So, you want to hand tighten these two nuts, and then we're going to have to do the 17mm bolt on the bottom, and then you're going to want to load the suspension, which means you're going to use your jack to bring the suspension parts to the height where it would be experienced on the ground. And no job can be completed without a helper. Can I get a 22mm socket, please?